For those of you who've never visited Godlingston, I've tried to put together a few home video clips into a short video diary to show where we are, where we've come from and where we're going. Godlingston is situated in the heart of the Isle of Purbeck, which is just south of Poole Harbour, Dorset. Famous for its quarries, Purbeck stone. I'm actually more interested in the chalk hills, because that's where our water comes from. This is an aerial view of the farm, where you can clearly see the bottling plant to the south of the manor. This is my future production manager, George, standing in front of the manor. The buildings were all brand new about 120 years ago when there was a big fire, but since the sale of the dairy herd they've become fairly redundant, and operations like this are no more. Here we are making silage for the cows. For many years there have been no sprays or fertilisers above the spring line, and all intensive agriculture has been kept strictly below the spring line. These days our main crop is winter wheat. Although we have diversified into DIY stabling to utilise the Victorian buildings. Irrigation is no longer needed, so the lake, which is fed by the springs, is stocked with carp and rented out for fishing. As I've said, although the dairy enterprise was only sold a year ago, the hills, which are the catchment area for the water, have not had sprays or fertilisers on them for many, many years. In fact, the hillland is classified as a site of special scientific interest. I'm very lucky because I control the catchment area for the water. We started bottling in 1991 and have been doing contract bottling for the last 3 years. This is one of the first machines I bought, a Steelhead Auto 100. As it says, it does 100 bottles an hour. Unfortunately, this machine was contaminated with petrol from a bottle earlier on in the summer, and we had to put a new machine in. Here you can clearly see the last bottle being rinsed, the bottle being filled under the filler head, and it being pushed under the capper and cap firmly placed on top. Due to the increased demand this summer, we've decided to open up the other springs, which have just overflowed for years into the stream. We dug up the existing catchment chambers and replaced them with a modern system that's going to last us for at least 100 years. Unfortunately, this involved a lot of excavation in the woodland, but in order to put a modern facility in, we had to do the job properly. Rather than the 5 old wells that used to be here, we now have a modern catchment facility fully protected from the environment. When we excavated the first spring 12 years ago, we actually found 8,000-year-old Stone Age tools in the bottom of it. There was a hammerstone and an axe head. These are some of the other Stone Age tools and artefacts we found around the farm. There are hammerstones, axe heads, scrapers, there's a Romano British pot, and a cannonball from the Civil War. We've also found the remains of the old moat around the house. Apart from the second spring, we're also laying about 7,500 square feet of concrete. Here you can see the new machine. You'll notice that we're only running it on 2 of the 5 filler heads, but that's plenty fast enough for the moment. You will also notice that every bottle is sniff tested and inspected before being placed on the machine. The bottles undergo a thorough wash. Followed by a rinse. Followed by a product rinse with ozonated water. And they're filled with ozonated water. Caps are kept in a sealed hopper, automatically sorted. placed in a chute. The bottle then picks the cap up, which is firmly stamped onto the bottle. All the bottles are date coded before being stacked on the pallet. They're then covered in a black plastic pallet cover, recorded on the computer, and wrapped in black plastic. And that's how our water gets to you.